The autumn sun spilled through the trees, casting long golden rays across the rusted graveyard of metal that was West Point Salvage Yard. Master Sergeant James Mallister stood frozen at the edge, heart pounding, unable to move. There, chained to an old oil drum, lay a skeletal German shepherd, fur patchy, ribs visible, one ear half torn. But even from a distance, Mac knew that face, that scar across the muzzle. It was him. "Sarge," he whispered, voice cracking. The dog weakly lifted his head. Recognition flickered in those tired eyes. This wasn't just a dog. This was his partner, a war hero. The same K9 who had dragged Mac's broken body out of a kill zone in Afghanistan. What follows is the heart-wrenching true story of one soldier's desperate fight to rescue the dog who once saved his life, and expose the system that left them both behind. As Mac tries to bring Sarge back from the brink, he uncovers corruption buried deep within military ranks, faces the shadows of his own trauma, and sparks a national movement to fight for the forgotten heroes on four legs. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And if this story touches you, hit that subscribe button. Tomorrow's chapter is even more powerful. The sun cast heavy shadows over the junkyard as Mac gripped the chain-link fence, staring at the emaciated dog barely visible under a dented metal lean-to. 3 years of false leads, broken promises, and dead ends had led him to this exact moment. The air was thick with the stench of oil and decay. He pushed open the creaking gate and walked carefully through twisted car frames and heaps of scrap. "Sarge," he said softly. The dog's head lifted, ears twitching. For a moment, nothing. Then, a faint thump, the slow, cautious wag of a tail. Mac dropped to his knees, swallowing a lump in his throat. Sarge was a shell of the proud working dog he once knew, scarred, starved, chained to a rusting drum. What had they done to him? A voice cut through the silence. "Hey! What the hell are you doing?" A man stormed out of a nearby trailer. Unshaven, grease-streaked overalls, a shotgun casually hanging at his side. Curtis Denton. "This is private property." Mac stood his ground. "That's my dog." Curtis sneered. "Like hell it is. I've had that mutt 8 months. "His name is Sarge. He's a decorated military K9. He served 4 tours. He's not just a dog. He's my partner." Mac pulled out his phone and held up a photo. A younger Mac, uniformed, arm around a vibrant Sarge in full tactical gear. Curtis squinted. His voice lost some of its bite. "Doesn't matter. I got him fair. Previous owner said he was aggressive." He motioned to a metal pipe leaning against the trailer. "Had to train him hard." Mac's fists clenched. His whole body screamed to act. But then Sarge whimpered behind him. And just like that, he was pulled back to the moment. "I'll buy him," Mac said coldly. "I've got $200 on me. I'll get the rest tomorrow." Curtis laughed. "You army types always trying to give orders. Bring the rest. Dog stays till then." "He's dying," Mac said, pointing at Sarge's ribs. "He needs help now." "Not my problem. He's mine till I see the rest of the money." Sarge had managed to stand, legs shaking, eyes locked on Mac. Something inside him, battered but not broken, still remembered. "Tomorrow," Mac said, voice hoarse. "I'll be back, before noon." Curtis nodded. "Better be. I've got places to be." Mac knelt once more, brushing his fingers gently over Sarge's scarred face. "One more night, buddy, then we're going home." The dog leaned into his touch with a soft whine. "I promise." "I'm not leaving you again." The drive back to Hawthorne Mills was a blur. Rage, guilt, grief, all crashing into one. Mac barely remembered the trip. He pulled into a cracked parking lot outside a quiet apartment complex, the one he'd been calling home since returning from service. Inside, he paced the barren living room. On the wall, the only decoration, a folded American flag in a glass case. The weight of everything pressed down on him, but this time he wouldn't let the system bury another brother, not on his watch. The only thing left hanging on Mac's wall was a shadow box, a folded American flag, a symbol of everything he'd left behind. But that night, none of it mattered more than one thing. He grabbed his phone, hands shaking, and dialed from memory. "Kyle, it's Mac," he said, voice cracking. "I found him." "I found Sarge." Kyle's voice instantly sharpened. "Where is he? Is he okay?" "West Point Salvage Yard," Mac said, barely able to hold it together. "No, he's not okay. He's chained up, starving. Looks like he's been beaten. And the guy wants money." Jesus, Mac. What are you gonna do? "I need $300 more, and I need to know how the hell he ended up there." Kyle hesitated. "I'll transfer the money. But Mac, there are rumors. You remember Jackson? He was investigating the K-9 retirement program before they reassigned him, real sudden." Mac froze. "What kind of rumors? That these dogs aren't going where they're supposed to, that someone's profiting off them." Quietly, Mac sank onto the couch. The military told him Sarge had been transferred to a police training program. But now, he was a forgotten ghost in a junkyard. "They lied," Mac whispered. "To me, to all of us. And Sarge is paying the price." "Be careful," Kyle warned. "You know the brass doesn't like scandals." Mac ended the call and opened his laptop. His background photo, Sarge standing proud beside a chopper, slammed into him like a punch. He started scanning local vet clinics until one line caught his eye. "Specialized in trauma and military K-9 rehabilitation. Oakhead Animal Hospital," he called. "I need Dr. Reynolds. It's an emergency." "She's with a patient," the receptionist said. "Tell her it's about a retired military dog. He's in critical condition. I'm bringing him in tomorrow." Moments later, a calm but urgent voice answered. "This is Dr. Reynolds. Tell me everything." Mac laid it out. 9-year-old German Shepherd. 3 tours, IED specialist, abused, malnourished. "We were separated 3 years ago when I got injured. I thought he was placed with a police unit, but I just found him chained in a scrapyard." The line went quiet. Then, "Bring him straight to the back entrance. I'll be ready, but be prepared. If he's as bad as you say, there may be some hard choices ahead." Mac's grip tightened. "Just be ready." Afghanistan, 2017. Dust, chaos. Sarge pressed against his leg on a night patrol, a living shield in the dark. Then, the explosion, screams, pain, and Sarge dragging him across the dirt while bullets tore through the air. Mac shook off the memory. He opened the safe in his closet. Inside, medals, his sidearm, and a stash of emergency cash. He pulled out $300. His eyes landed on the pistol. He paused, then shut the safe. This wasn't war. Not yet. Morning broke gray and cold. Mac had been up for hours, sitting on the edge of his bed, clutching Sarge's old collar, the one he'd kept all these years. He slipped it into his coat and headed back to the salvage yard. Curtis was already waiting, leaning against his trailer with a mug of coffee. "Got my money?" Mac handed him the cash without a word. His eyes searched the yard until they found Sarge, still curled in the same spot, eyes quietly following him. "All yours," Curtis said, counting the bills. "Don't know why you'd want him. Dog's busted, won't listen to no one." Mac ignored him. He knelt beside Sarge. "Hey, buddy, you ready to come home?" Sarge's tail gave a weak thump. Mac reached for the chain, rusted, soaked in old oil, and worked it loose. The collar had rubbed the dog's neck raw. "Can you walk?" he asked. Sarge tried. His legs trembled with every step, each movement revealing more damage. Wounds, swelling, old breaks left untreated. It was a miracle he'd survived. "He earned those scars!" Curtis shouted. "Mean streak in him. Better hope he don't turn on you." Mac turned cold. "If I ever see you near another dog." He didn't finish, but Curtis got the message. At the car, Mac laid out a blanket and gently lifted Sarge into the back seat. The dog collapsed from exhaustion. Mac reached into his pocket and pulled out the old collar. "Remember this?" he asked softly. Sarge sniffed the leather. A low whine built in his throat. Mac removed the rusted collar and fastened the old one, the familiar jingle of the tags echoing like ghosts from another life. "We're gonna fix this," Mac said, voice shaking. "Just stay with me, Sarge." As they drove toward Oaked Animal Hospital, Mac kept checking the rearview mirror, afraid that the friend who saved him might not make it to see morning's end. But every time he looked back, Sarge was still there. Those amber eyes locked onto his, tired but unbroken. The same fierce determination that once kept Mac alive in combat was still burning behind them. "Almost there, buddy," Mac whispered. "Almost there." This story took a long time to research and tell, so if you're moved by it, hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us. Now let's get back to the moment that changed everything. The back entrance of Oak Ridge Animal Hospital was marked with a simple staff-only sign. Nothing fancy, just cold steel and gravel under Mac's boots as he parked as close as he could. Sarge hadn't moved during the ride, his breathing shallow but steady. When Mac opened the back door, those familiar eyes met his with a quiet, desperate trust. "We're here, partner. Help's waiting." "Doctor." Samantha Reynolds stood waiting, mid-40s, auburn hair pulled back, green scrubs under a white coat. But the moment she laid eyes on Sarge, her professional mask cracked. "Oh my God," she breathed. Mac lifted Sarge gently, cradling the dog that once carried him through war. Now he felt light, too light. Dr. Reynolds led them down a corridor into a prepared exam room where a vet tech was waiting. "Place him here," she said, motioning to a blanket-covered table. As Mac laid him down, Sarge's eyes never left his. There was fear, but more than that, trust. "I'm Dr. Samantha Reynolds," she said as she began the exam. "But everyone calls me Sam." "James Mallister," Mac replied. "Call me Mac. He was my partner, 3 years in Afghanistan." Sam nodded, already working with calm precision. She checked vitals, limbs, wounds. "Darlene, IV fluids and pain meds, now." "How bad is it?" Mac asked. She didn't sugarcoat it. "Critical. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, that back leg, it was broken and never healed, several infections. This wound here," she revealed a fresh gash on Sarge's side, "is about a week old." Mac's fists clenched. "Can you save him?" Sam looked him in the eyes. "I'm going to try, but you need to understand. The next 48 hours are make or break." "He's a fighter," Mac said without hesitation. "Always has been." "Darlene, prep for full blood work and x-rays. I want the full picture," Sam ordered. Mac stepped closer to Sarge, placing a hand within his view. The dog's tail twitched faintly. "You can't stay during the tests," Sam said gently. "But my office is down the hall. First door on the left." Mac nodded, words stuck in his throat. He leaned in close to Sarge's ear. "I'm right outside, buddy. These people are going to help you." Sarge licked his hand weakly before his eyes closed, the sedative finally taking hold. Sam's office was small, cluttered, but warm. Bookshelves filled with veterinary texts, the walls lined with photos of dogs, cats, even a few exotics. But one photo stood out. A younger Sam in desert camo, smiling beside a military Labrador. Mac was staring at it when she returned. Her face was grave. "You served?" he asked. "Army Veterinary Corps," she said, lowering into her chair. 2 tours in Iraq. That's why I take cases like Sarge's." "How is he?" She took a deep breath. "Stable. But the scans show old fractures, spinal trauma, and internal scarring. Signs of repeated blunt force. His blood work shows anemia, liver stress, and heartworm." Mac's chest tightened, but she wasn't done. "We also found a microchip. It's not military issue. It's newer, implanted over the original." Mac's eyes shot open. Someone tried to hide who he really was. Exactly. His path from combat to that junkyard wasn't a mistake. Someone made sure he disappeared. Mac leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. "Can I see him?" "He's sedated. We're cleaning wounds and starting treatment. It'll be a few hours." Sam studied him. "When's the last time you slept?" He rubbed his eyes. "No idea." "There's a diner across the street. Coffee, food. You'll need your strength for what's coming. I'll call if anything changes." Mac wanted to argue, but exhaustion was winning. He stood. "Promise you'll call." She smiled softly. "Scout's honor. He's fighting, Mac. That says a lot." At the diner, Mac slid into a booth by the window, close enough to keep an eye on the hospital. The waitress poured coffee into his cup. Her name tag said Josie. "Rough morning?" she asked gently. Mac nodded, eyes still fixed on the hospital across the street. "You have no idea." Before Mac could even respond, the waitress gave him a knowing look. "You're the one who brought in the German Shepherd, right?" Word traveled fast in Hawthorne Mills. Mac nodded, too tired to be surprised. "My brother was Army," she continued. 10th Mountain Division, lost his leg in Kandahar. Dogs like that? They save lives. She set the coffee pot down beside him. "Breakfast is on me today, and I'll keep the coffee coming." Her smile was warm, genuine. Mac gave her a quiet nod of thanks as she walked away. Then, pulling out his phone, he dialed again. "How is he?" Kyle asked right away. "Still in bad shape," Mac said, keeping his voice low. "They're working on him, but Kyle, someone swapped his military chip for a civilian one. Someone hid his identity. On purpose." Silence. Then Kyle's voice dropped. "That's not just sloppy, that's deliberate. I'll dig into it." "Who was supposed to take Sarge after you were discharged?" "They told me he was going to a police training program in Colorado." "I'll make a few discreet calls," Kyle said. "But Mac, have you told Elaine?" Mac stiffened at her name. "No. She'd want to know. She loved that dog, too." "I'll handle it. Just get me the info." After hanging up, Mac sat in silence, staring into his coffee. Elaine. They hadn't spoken in months. Not since she left, worn down by his nightmares, his anger, the weight of everything he couldn't leave behind. She'd tried. God, she had tried. But some things don't translate to civilian life. Then his phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "He's awake, asking for you." Mac dropped cash on the table and rushed across the street. Dr. Reynolds was already waiting by the back door and led him into a quiet recovery room. Sarge lay on a padded bed, an IV in his front leg, his body wrapped in fresh bandages. But when Mac stepped inside, those amber eyes brightened, and his tail gave a faint thump. "Hey, soldier," Mac said softly, kneeling beside him. Sarge's head lifted, and Mac gently stroked his fur, careful not to touch the injuries. "He's responding well," Sam said from the doorway. "The IVs are helping, antibiotics are working, but it's going to be a long road. He'll need surgery on his leg, heartworm treatment, and carefully managed nutrition." "Whatever it takes," Mac said without hesitation. "I've reached out to a rehab specialist in Cedar Ridge," Sam added. "She works with military dogs. Once he's stable, that's where he should go." "How much is all this going to cost?" Mac asked, the reality setting in. "Don't worry about that now. We have emergency funds for cases like his." Mac shook his head. "I appreciate it, but he's my responsibility. I'm not taking charity." Sam's expression softened. "It's not charity, Mac. It's respect for both of you." She motioned to a chair. "Stay as long as you want. Honestly, your presence might be the best medicine he could ask for." After she left, Mac settled in beside Sarge, his hand resting where the dog could see it. Slowly, Sarge leaned forward, pressing his muzzle into Mac's fingers. "I'm not going anywhere," Mac whispered. "Not this time." As dusk settled outside, Mac dozed off in the chair, hand still touching Sarge. His dreams came in fragments, the dust of Afghanistan, the heat, the weight of his gear. Sarge trotting ahead, then freezing, ears forward, the silent signal that had saved them more times than he could count. "Sir? Mr. Mallister?" Mac startled awake. Darlene stood in the doorway. "Sorry to wake you, but there's someone here asking for you. Says she's your wife." Mac sat upright. "Elaine?" "She's in the waiting room." Mac glanced back at Sarge, torn. "I'll be back, buddy. I promise." In the soft evening light, Elaine stood by the window of the waiting room, her figure outlined against the fading sky. Her chestnut hair fell over her shoulders, and she wore the simple, practical clothes of a schoolteacher. She turned slowly, eyes cautious but kind. "Kyle called me," she said. "Thought I should know." Mac nodded. Of course Kyle called. He never gave up hope. "How is he?" Elaine asked, voice trembling slightly. "He's alive. He's fighting." Can I see him? The question hit Mac unexpectedly. They hadn't shared a moment in months. But for 3 years of marriage and 2 more of trying to piece things together, Sarge had always been a connection they both honored. She'd sent care packages to him overseas. She'd listened to every story. She knew what that dog meant. "This way," he said. When they stepped into the recovery room, Sarge lifted his head immediately. His nostrils flared. He caught her scent. His tail began to thump harder than before. "Oh, Sarge," Elaine whispered, dropping to her knees beside him. She extended her hands slowly, letting him sniff, then gently stroked his fur. "What did they do to you, brave boy?" Sarge licked her fingers. Stronger, more alert than he'd been even with Mac. Something inside Mac's chest loosened, a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "The vet says he needs surgery, rehab. Treatment for heartworm," Mac said quietly. "It's going to be a long journey." Elaine nodded, her hand never leaving Sarge. "Then let's help him take it." Still watching over Sarge, Mac didn't look up. "Where will you take him once he's strong enough to leave?" Elaine asked. Mac exhaled slowly. "I don't know. My apartment doesn't allow dogs." Elaine's voice shifted, softer but steady. "Our house still has a fenced yard. Plenty of space for a dog to recover." Mac turned toward her. "Elaine, it's not our house anymore." "It's still ours, Mac," she said quietly. "I'm just the one living in it now." She looked back down at Sarge. "And he remembers it. Don't you, boy?" Mac had no response. Their separation had been his doing, his refusal to face the nightmares, to get help, to open up. Elaine had tried more than most would, but eventually he'd pushed her too far. "I can't ask you to do this," he said at last. "You're not asking," Elaine replied, turning to face him. "I'm offering. And this isn't about us. It's about Sarge. He deserves a real home to heal." Before Mac could answer, Dr. Sam Reynolds appeared in the doorway. "Sorry to interrupt, but I need to check his vitals." As Sam stepped into the room, Mac guided Elaine into the hallway. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. Her voice was firm. "Yes, but I need to know you are too. Bringing him home is one thing. He'll need daily care, medication, therapy. He'll have setbacks. Are you really ready to see this through?" Mac swallowed hard. "Of course I am. Even if it means facing your own demons? Because he's not the only one who needs healing." The words hit with quiet force. Elaine had always been able to speak the truths Mac tried to bury. "I'll do whatever it takes," he said softly. "Then we'll figure it out," she said, her expression softening. "One day at a time." Moments later, Sam returned with a clipboard. "His vitals are improving. If this continues through the night, we can plan for short-term care tomorrow." "He has a place to go," Mac said, glancing at Elaine. "A house, yard, familiar ground." Sam smiled. "That's excellent. Familiar surroundings will help with his emotional recovery, too." She handed him a card. "This is Dr. Maria Gonzalez, the rehab specialist I mentioned. Call her first thing tomorrow. She'll want to get started as soon as he's ready to move." Mac returned to Sarge's side. The dog was sleeping soundly, breathing deeper now, steadier. "I'll stay with him tonight," Mac said. "You should go. Get the house ready." Elaine nodded but paused at the door. "Mac, when was the last time you had a real meal or slept in a real bed?" "I'm fine." She raised an eyebrow. "That's not what I asked. There's lasagna in the freezer, clean clothes on the porch." He gave a faint smile as she walked out. Then he settled into the chair again. Night had fallen. The only light came from monitors and the soft hum of cars on the highway. Sarge's breathing filled the room, calm, steady, grounding. His phone buzzed. A message from Kyle. "Got info. Call when you can." Mac stepped into the hallway and called immediately. "What did you find?" Kyle's voice was low, serious. "It's worse than we thought. According to official records, Sarge completed training at the Rocky Mountain K-9 Center and was placed with the Denver PD. But that's a lie." Mac felt his stomach drop. "Then where was he actually sent?" "That's the thing. Rocky Mountain is owned by a Cerberus defense subsidiary." Mac froze. "Cerberus? As in Colonel Hargrove's company?" "His brother-in-law runs it, and guess who sits on their board?" Senator Wilson, the guy who oversees the military working dog program. Mac leaned against the wall. You're telling me they're selling off retired military dogs? It looks that way, selling them instead of placing them, and falsifying paperwork to cover it all up. Mac's voice turned to steel. I need proof. I'm on it, but be careful. These people have deep pockets and powerful friends. They won't take kindly to someone digging around. After the call, Mac returned to the recovery room. Sarge was still resting, unaware of the storm unfolding beyond those walls. But Mac knew now. Someone had betrayed him. Betrayed them all. He sat beside the bed, resting a hand on Sarge's head. I promise you, buddy, he whispered. They're going to pay for this. Morning light poured through the blinds, casting soft stripes across the room. Sarge was still sleeping, his chest rising and falling steadily. Mac stretched, stiff from a long night in the chair, but it was the best sleep he'd had in months. The nightmares hadn't come, not once. Sam arrived early, coffee in one hand, breakfast in the other. Brought you something, she said with a smile. How's our guy doing? He slept through the night, Mac said, accepting the coffee gratefully. Even ate a little this morning. Sam checked his vitals. Sarge opened his eyes at her touch and gave a faint tail wag. Well, someone's definitely feeling better, she said, smiling. We're not out of the woods, but this is a good sign. Doctor. Sam Reynolds sounded cautiously hopeful. He's improving, Mac. The fever's down and he's responding to antibiotics. But I want him stronger before surgery on that leg, maybe a week or two. After that, he'll need regular rehab. She scribbled notes, then added, I spoke with Dr. Gonzalez. She can start 3 sessions a week once he's ready. Mac nodded, the tension easing from his shoulders. I talked to Elaine after you left. She's prepping the house, fenced yard, a quiet setup in the living room, no stairs. Sam smiled. That's perfect. Environment matters a lot in recovery. Then, a little more gently, can I ask, your situation with Elaine? We're separated, Mac said simply. My fault. I came back different. Couldn't accept help. She understood, but I pushed her away. Sam nodded with quiet understanding. The war doesn't always stay overseas. Before she could say more, her phone buzzed. She frowned. I need to take this. You staying a while? I'm not going anywhere, Mac replied. While he ate a quiet lunch, Mac's mind raced. Cerberus defense, Senator Wilson, Colonel Hargrove. The corruption went deeper than he imagined. Then Elaine texted, house is ready. Pet supplies stocked. When should I expect you? Mac replied, still at the hospital. Sarge is better. Vet wants to keep him under observation. Then he added, thank you, Elaine. Her response came a moment later. He's family, Mac. Always was. Just as Mac was settling, Sam came back looking concerned. Dr. Gonzalez just called. A man claiming to be from Denver PD K-9 unit was asking about a missing dog that matches Sarge's profile. Mac tensed. They're looking for him. Sam nodded. This confirms the records were falsified. Gonzalez said nothing, but we need to be careful. Anyone willing to fake federal paperwork might go further to cover their tracks. Mac stepped closer to Sarge's bed, his mind racing. If they were actively hunting for him, time was running out. His phone rang. Kyle. They're asking questions at vet clinics, Mac said. Kyle's voice was grim. That fits. I found something else. Curtis Denton's brother, Frank, works at Fort Carson, in the K-9 transfer division. That's the connection. I think so. Dogs are being redirected from legitimate programs and sold. Maybe Sarge was too hard to handle, so Curtis kept him instead of selling him. Mac clenched his fists. Sarge isn't dangerous. He's loyal. In the wrong hands, that's misread. Be careful if you talk to Frank, Kyle warned. Later that day, Sam returned with lunch for both of them, Mac and Sarge. Sarge ate more than he had the day before. Another small victory. Sam spoke quietly as she updated the chart. This clinic's too exposed. If they're looking for him, we should move him. She paused, then offered, a friend of mine has a private farm outside town. Former handler, secluded. It's safer. Mac hesitated. I'll check with Elaine. She was planning for him to come home. Sam nodded. Just an option. Also go home, shower, get rest. You've earned at least an hour. As Mac drove to his apartment, he weighed every possibility. He needed proof and safety for Sarge and Elaine. Just as he packed a bag, his phone rang. Unknown number. Master Sergeant Mallister, this is Senator Patricia Wilson's office. The senator would like to speak about your recent inquiries into the K-9 retirement program. Mac froze. He hadn't gone public yet. Kyle must have been overheard. Or they were already watching. That night, everything was about to change. The system had failed them, but now Mac had something stronger than anger, a plan, and Sarge finally had something too, a second chance.